Imagine it's the 1950s. A woman, maybe looking to go out for a fun night or just in need for something new, is looking for a dress. Flipping through the catalogs of the time, she could reasonably expect to pay around $9, or equivalent to today's $72 for the latest trends and styles. Today though, while you can still certainly find dresses for $72 and even higher, if you look just hard enough and on the right sites, a similar aspiring buyer today could find one for just $5. Now let that sink in. For just $5.29, the price of a no-meat Big Mac from McDonald's, you could be the proud owner of a size medium sexy spaghetti strap mini dress 2022 Summer Women Bodycon Club Party Dresses Female Camisole Solid Black White Sheath Sundress. Now why is this a problem? Cheap clothes seems like a good thing. An everybody wins and nobody loses phenomenon. But like nearly all things, it just isn't that simple. You see, to get that dress down to $5 with free shipping, companies have to cut a lot of corners. It isn't a coincidence that while seemingly everything else is rising in price, buying clothes from international sites remains as cheap as ever. Namely, poorly treated and paid workers, cheap low-quality textiles, and irresponsible and shady disposal methods are all contributing factors. These fast fashion companies rely on the extremely fast-paced nature of social media trends to push huge volumes of inexpensive clothing at an extremely rapid pace. Thanks to this, the textile industry is now one of the most polluting in the world, responsible for emitting 1.2 billion tons of CO2 a year. This, without saying, contributes to climate change, which leads to the floods, wildfires, tropical storms, droughts, and intense heat waves that have become all too common in recent years. If all that doesn't paint the picture, then take this in. Every second, an entire garbage truck's worth of clothing is dumped into a landfill or burned. But then what's the solution? How do you solve the complex, multifaceted societal and environmental issue that is fast fashion? Well, that's the question we asked ourselves when introduced to this project. But before we even began tackling that question, we first wanted to find out how conscious our students here at École Secondaire Ronan Marion are about fast fashion. We conducted a few surveys, but also asked a few students some pretty important questions.
Do you know what fast fashion is?
I don't think I do, but I've heard of it actually.
Not really.
Yeah. I've fallen down a few YouTube rabbit holes.
Have you ever worn like secondhand clothing before?
Majority of my outfits or like clothes that I have are either secondhand from my mom or my dad or that I get from the thrift store. Because usually I don't like to buy online. I rarely ever do. Like this shirt, I'd probably never. Exactly.
Yeah, I have. There's a site called Panda Buy. It's basically where people from another country replicate clothes and they sell it for cheaper.
I thrift like a lot of my clothes, and then my mom has an amazing closet, so I just wear a lot of her stuff.
Okay, definitely there was room to improve, as though a lot of students had decently sustainable buying habits and regularly bought secondhand, many more didn't, and there was a large number of students who we didn't get the chance to speak to. But now that we had an idea of our school's knowledge, or lack thereof, of the issue of fast fashion, it was time to find a way to take action. And our solution was a thrift store-styled clothing swap in the school. Importantly, we would accept all types of used clothing and ensure that no money was involved. Our answer to fast fashion was Deuxième Mode.
At first we started off by making posters. I think we made around like 3 or so, or 4. And we went around the school hanging it up on hangers and on a few t-shirts as well, just to like really get people engaged. And we really wanted to do like a little mysterious type thing where like no one really knows what it is, but we were hoping that they'd read the posters, which they I don't doubt that they did, but okay.
As well as putting up posters and doing our own research, we equally reached out to find people that could help us learn more about fast fashion and the ways that we could ensure the success of our store. Fortunately, we were able to secure interviews with several different experts on the issue. Our first stop was Common Store Annex, located downtown on Bloor Street. A small yet successful used clothes store, the staff there were kind enough to provide us with some insight on the thrifting business.
This is where clothes that are like either stained or dirty or like ripped or anything come to be healed and come into something new, you know.
So you guys like fix up old clothing?
Yeah, exactly. So say if we buy something and it has like a stain that nobody saw or like a big hole in it or something, we're able to fix it and repair it. So we're still selling it for like trade, I guess, maybe at a lower cost, just because we know that it's not in the best condition as we would like it to be, right?
Our next destination was Evergreen Brickworks, where we spoke with many experts in recycling and sustainable fashion as part of the Remode event, organized by Fashion Takes Action. We even conducted several virtual meetings, most notably with Laura Clemenson, whose article How Canadian Clothing Entrepreneurs Are Disrupting Fast Fashion was a big part of our research and planning process.
Fast fashion isn't a new concept, we know that. Obviously, it's been gaining steam over the last few years, as you guys know as well. But I wanted to look into it to see where things were at in terms of opinions and attitudes when it comes to consumers. And, you know, is there anyone out there who's stopping it or trying to change our attitudes?
While we were gathering insight and conducting interviews with experts, decisions important to our project were being made. Near the beginning of our project, we had spoken with our principal Manamakana to get her on board with our idea and hear any concerns or advice she had. A large challenge and concern was finding an area to host our clothing store. But finally, a few weeks later, we got the good news that one of the unused elementary changing rooms would be the official location for Deuxième Mode.
Yeah, so basically we did recommend people to bring like clothes and all that so that we can actually start off with something. And thankfully a lot of people did actually bring clothes, like Paul, who else, Isatu, Yasmin brought a lot of her Shein clothing, but that was very nice of her. And then Marley and I went to the changing rooms and we kind of like organized them in a way and just put like shirts in a section. I think we didn't really get a lot of pants. But we did make it clear that we don't want any bathing suits, socks, and etc. All that stuff.
Okay, story time. So last week, Monsieur Morin came and surprised us with our room. We were so excited. We'd been waiting for a room for a long time, and we found out that Madame Morin had given us the entirety of the girls' vestiaire for us. Super excited. Today I went to go check it out again, see like what kind of table we would need to put in there, all the materials we wanted. And when I walked in, it was full of stuff. There was like cleaning supplies, boxes everywhere. I just came back to go see and film for our documentary, and as I was opening the door, the concierge came up to me and was like, "Oh, hi. So I heard that this was supposed to be yours. Well, it's not anymore." We talked and he said, "You know what? I think you're allowed to use the boys' vestiaire." So he helped me move our clothing rack that we had already put in there and gave us the boys' vestiaire instead. So what we thought was going to be a huge problem actually ended up being completely fine. But as you can see, there's still like bags in here, and there's chairs and like a whiteboard. Someone's bicycle is over there, but we still have a room. So crisis averted. From here, we can pretty much start. As soon as we get all of our stuff in here, then we're good to go, and maybe in the next few weeks we'll have our thrift store up and running. Let's try not to jinx it.
All seemed set for the store to be a great success. We continued promoting our goal, making announcements on the school news broadcast, creating an Instagram account, and even becoming a legal non-profit organization. And just before we went on our big camping trip to Frontenac, we made sure to inform everyone that we were now accepting closed donations. Deuxième Mode's first opening was due to be Monday, June 5th, the week right after our return from the 5-day camping trip. When Monday came, we set up shop and opened our doors, and well, nobody came. It seemed all our efforts in promotion and creating awareness hadn't brought the results that we had expected. But maybe it was a fluke, just a bad day. It was Monday after all, so we redoubled our efforts, continued our attempts to promote.
So we did open twice, like our thrift store, since we do open on Mondays and Thursdays during lunch. And the first time it was dead, it was completely dead. But I did drag a few people in and they ended up leaving as soon as they came in. But the second time was very like, we did have a few people. I remember Aisha came and she got a shirt, right?
Nice too. Our first sell. We got.
My sister's dress.
What did you bring? We got her sister's dress. She brought some.
I'm pretty sure this is
summer clothes, and this is what she's taking for now. Back for more later.
She exchanged for a shirt. I guess she was our first customer, but the changing room is kind of hidden as well, so I don't really think people can actually see it as well. Like, no one really pays attention to it. Even though Marley and I tried keeping the door open, that did not help at all. It was still dead.
At this point, the end of the year was rapidly approaching, and we only had 2 days left that we could open, Monday the 12th and Thursday the 15th. But seeing how we were only able to attract Isatu into our store, we needed to rethink our approach to improve turnout. We took a gamble and decided to not open on Monday, instead trying to find as many people as possible to convince to come to our store on Thursday.
So last week, we went into our vestiaire, our store, and it was full of stuff. So we spoke to Madame, and she said that she would fix it ASAP. So now we are going back to the store and see if it's actually been done, because it's been about a week.
Okay.
I'm going first.
All right.
Moment of truth.
What the
There's more stuff. There's more than there was before.
How do they fit this in here?
Like, what is it? Inflatable snowman?
They got a
Why?
blender up there.
Like, why? Bad shit. Christmas stuff.
Is that it's a waffle maker.
That's a waffle. I talked to Mr. I don't remember his name. Monsieur, yeah. And he said to come back at 12 and he's gonna find a solution. So I think he's gonna talk with the concierge and get everything moved, because apparently this is all the stuff that was on the stage that they had to move for the award ceremonies and graduation and stuff.
So they put it here.
So they put it here. So they're gonna try and find somewhere else to put it. Yeah, so today's gonna be our last day open this year, given that next week we're going into exam week. So yeah, so our room that we were supposed to have is actually, we found out, the Elementaires, so it never actually belonged to us. So yeah, we recently found out that they were using it for storage, so they put a bunch of stuff in there and we can no longer use it as our store. We can still use it as storage though. So our plan from here on out is to keep that space as storage with the Elementaire, and then we're probably going to start opening in the hallways, which isn't the worst thing. Hopefully being in the middle of the hallway at lunch hour is going to be like really inconvenient for people and they're going to have to stop and look at us. This is ours, that one's ours. I think we should take a roll. There's some stuff left.
Our first proper open, a moment that everything has been leading up to. There were a few people browsing and stopping by to ask questions, but overall there weren't many people swapping clothes. Being in the hallway definitely helped for exposure, but overall we were unable to pique people's interests and most just went on with their days. As 40 minutes passed by, just like that, our dreams of a vibrant secondhand clothing store were left unachieved. Having made only 3 or 4 successful thrifts, we had to lock the doors of Deuxième Mode for good, at least for this year. Even though we haven't accomplished all our initial goals this year, it's still important to recognize our efforts and the things we have accomplished. We had, for example, the opportunity to speak with many extremely passionate and dedicated people in the industry. We've also had the chance to learn so much about the fashion industry as a whole, and we've also had the opportunity to build a foundation that will prove invaluable when we inevitably continue this project next year. See, we wanted to create a lasting impact from the start, and we above all wanted to ensure the longevity of our project, especially after we graduate. Things might not have moved as quickly as we expected or hoped for, but we've at least sown the seeds of success. And with enough time and patience, this project could truly blossom into something really great. Even more importantly, we've all learned many lessons throughout these past months, ones that will help us not only next year in the continuation of this project, but throughout the rest of our lives. So in more ways than one, this really isn't the end, but just the beginning for Deuxième Mode.